Okay.
Okay.
So there's no specific format. It's just kind of, you know, give me your questions and we'll field them, and yeah, I'll answer them to the best of my ability. So anyone can start.
Yes, Mary.
Oh, yeah. First, I just want to tell the group, I'm sort of a second generation student here because I started Jen and Maria's course, one of their courses, I've done two, last year. And then there was some serious family health issues, so I had to put it off. So I've been doing the module self-style. And actually, Jen, I was going to write you an email because I did module 3, and I have to tell the group, Margaret and Twyla and Lisa, that was like the best demonstration of how to do a literature search I have ever seen. And
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Jen, it was like it was exactly what I needed. It was exactly what I needed because, we're all sharp people. We all know how to do. I'm old enough to know that you got to go to the stacks and get like this many books. And then you bring your mom to do the copying. I use that example because that's exactly what I did once before I had to give a lecture. I brought my 7-year-old mom copy.
Which course
and so
needs assessment. So
needs assessment, Lisa.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I've done modules 1 and 2 and 3, and I actually took notes the other day, and I was like amazed, and I decided it was because of your teaching technique that my notes look so good, because my notes usually look like they're written by a serial killer. Okay. They're usually like little cut pieces of magazine pasted on. And so I just want to tell you, Jen, I was going to write you and Maria a note. That module was really great, especially for someone maybe from my era where doing computer literature search, sure, we're used to it, but we're not as good as you are. And so that was like an eye-opener. That was just incredible. I literally I finished the lecture, and if I hadn't had to probably answer the UPS man and wash some groceries, I was going to sit down and write you a note.
Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you so much.
It was
yeah. I truly appreciate that. And I think, so this brings up a couple of thoughts for me. One, I think some of the things that we do cover in the course, such as the literature search, and then actually the last module, which is about client outreach, those are almost universal concepts. And I think they can be applied to a lot of things outside of the needs assessment course. So other topics, other types of deliverables for other clients. But yeah, one of the things that we've tried to do with the way that the course is currently formatted is just really walk people through how to write a needs assessment, really step by step in a very logical way, so that you can follow along. So this is a course where I would definitely suggest that you start at the beginning and move through it to the end. It's probably not something that you can sort of jump around in too much. And we've changed it up a little bit this time through, in that we've opened up all of the modules and lessons all at once. So the way that we used to do it was that we would drip things out week by week, but of course, people, can and do move through things at their own pace. And again, given the current situation, you might be in a scenario where you say have a little bit more time to move through things than maybe you did previously. So long story short, it's once the course officially opens on Monday, you can move through all, as many or as few as of the lessons as you would like.
We are encouraging people to stay to within about 5 weeks by keeping the live Q&A for 5 weeks, because that's what we used to do before. And that's just, but again, I mean, if you're a fast mover and you've hit module 3 by the time the first call rolls around, of course, and you have questions, of course, we'll answer those questions. But that, that Q&A format, live Q&A format is available for 5 weeks. And also we've definitely fielded email questions in between the Q&A as well.
Right, right.
We're pretty accessible, as Mary might be able to say.
Oh, yeah,
Can
absolutely.
you tell us more about the live Q&A?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the Q&A, it's Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And it's literally, you walk through a module, you have questions, and, we encourage you to send us whatever questions you have maybe ahead of time so that we can prepare. But we've done everything from a live demonstration of how to go through PubMed to, going through and actually answering questions with, a series of slides, just because it's easier to visualize whatever it is that we're trying to answer. And then, we also answer questions that are as they're coming up, because some people just wait until Friday and come with their questions, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine too. So really the whole idea is we want to support you wherever you are and make sure that you're getting the value, the maximum value out of this course. And so, as I said, and in some ways that's why we decided to open it and make it all available at the same time, as opposed to drip it out over 5 weeks, so that people can really, pace themselves however they feel most comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And if that time, Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern, if that doesn't work for you for whatever reason, you can absolutely submit questions ahead of time, or if I don't happen to see them, I can certainly answer it on the following call. And we record those sessions as we are now, and they are posted within the platform. So we use Teachable. That's a platform that we use to host all of the modules, all of the lessons within each module. We put the resources there. We put the Q&A sessions are there. So everything is housed in one place. And that should make it very easily accessible to you. If you've already purchased the course, the bonuses are there as well. And we have also there, we have previous groups Q&A sessions. So if you happen to have the time and you do want to go back and review any of those to just kind of see what pops up and the other types of questions that appear, you're more than welcome to go back and check those out as well.
And those are, because we were dripping out the content before, so those Q&As are really following, the questions really do relate to whatever module we've just released, or released the week before, I guess. So people have had a week to, work through it, and then they come with questions.
Yeah. So they were a little bit more structured, but we're hoping that the method that we're using now does give you a little bit more flexibility with your time.
So for the format of the course, it would be you work through each module, take notes. I assume there's some assignments.
Yes.
And each week anything you're stuck on or you have a question about, we have a meeting like this.
Yeah, basically. It's like this.
Yeah. So basically, there are 4 modules. Each module contains a number of different lessons. There is a homework assignment for each module. So typically I would suggest you move through the video lessons. Oh, and I should mention, so there's a video lesson. We've extracted the audio component. So if you're a person, maybe not so much these days, but say if you were in your car traveling, or maybe you want to take it with you, go for a walk, you can download just the audio. So there are slides. So the way that it's presented, the video is me talking over a slide deck. So the slides are certainly beneficial, but I think you could also just listen to a lot of the content, with the exception of maybe some lessons related to things like PubMed searches, et cetera, because those are obviously a little bit more visual in terms of there's actually a demonstration of me moving through those platforms. But yes, so there's a homework assignment. So I would suggest you either watch or listen to the video. There's a PDF that you can follow along, and
so a worksheet where
a
you
worksheet, thank you.
fill in certain things as the
Very good.
video progresses, so
That
that
is
you're
so
actively
good.
listening.
Yeah, so probably that, that's a good point. When you first get into, and one of the things I want to do this week is actually just record a short video for folks who have signed up, just kind of walking you through Teachable, just to show you, okay, here's what it looks like inside of the platform. This is where you will find the videos, the audios, the lessons, worksheets, etc. But yeah, so we've provided worksheets for you that you can use to follow along within each of the modules. There's an accompanying homework assignment. You can submit that to me for feedback. And most people do that. And of course, everything builds. So, homework for module 1 will help you to then do the homework in the next section in module 2, and so on.
The idea is that you're coming out with a sample, right? So you're actually coming out of this course with a sample needs assessment that then you can use when you're going to find clients and say, yes, I have actually, in fact, needs assessments, and here it is. So it's not, we're really, I guess our philosophy is really to be as much hands-on and as much learning by doing as possible, because the two of us have the unfortunate tendency to take a lot of online courses, and some of the ones that are really successful are the ones that are really pushing us to do, as opposed to just learn and to listen to information. Because it's one thing to understand needs assessments intellectually, but it's very different to sit there and try to find the support that you need for the gaps, or to draft gaps in a certain way, or to think through how do I structure it so that it reads really easily for somebody who's reviewing it, right? So that's our real emphasis, to get people to a sample that they've already written, because that does two things. One is that it literally gives you a leg up on the competition because you can show a good sample. But the other one is that then the next time when you have to write a needs assessment for a client, you're not a newbie, right? I mean, you've already done it. So it's not like you're coming into this and you kind of bluffed your way into saying, yeah, I know how to do it. And then you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You've actually done it. And also you have these modules, you have access to these modules once you sign up forever, right? Or as long as Teachable is around, I guess. But, and our students, I'm noticing that they're logging in quite often, maybe 6 months later, et cetera, and they're actually looking for specific items in there, and they're re-watching certain things or rethinking about how they're doing some stuff. And, that's the way we think about it. We think about this as a resource that's to help students really grow their careers.
Yeah, and I would say, and this was certainly true for me as well when I first started writing these, it likely will feel really hard, in all honesty, the first time that you try to move through the process and do it on your own. And it does get easier. So for instance, I'm thinking of a student, she took the course with us, it must have been last fall. And she's just now gotten into the point where she's reaching out, writing needs assessments for clients. And so she reached out to me maybe a month or 2 ago, and she had some specific questions. And so we kind of walked through that with her, and then she wrote to me again, and she said, oh, I wrote another one, and this time it was much easier to get, to move through the whole process. So it is something that does get easier. I think the more that you do it, the way that I try to set it up. So I try to be very systematic in the way that I write these. And, you know, there likely will be some nuances based on client preferences, etc. But for the most part, I generally try to keep the format of how I like to set them up pretty consistent. And I found the methods that I teach to be quite effective as well. So, you know, again, these assessments are grants. They're being submitted to pharmaceutical companies. Basically, they're a request for funding to produce educational programs. And so, you know, my funding rate, you know, typically, I'm thinking of one client in particular, I have a funding rate of like 65% or so. So what I've talked to new clients, a lot of times they'll tell me, oh, our funding rate is maybe 10% or 20%. So, you know, I think that the methods and the way that I present things does work pretty well, just based on the funding rate and the success that I've had. So, you know, again, I want you to, once you move through the materials, I want you to think of it, you know, once you get used to the process and think about, okay, how can I do this efficiently as well, once you get more comfortable with everything.
That sounds great. I had one other question. I was wondering, during the course, would we have the opportunity to look at an example needs assessment that's been successful?
Yes, definitely. So there are, I think I shared three samples shared within the course as well. And they're from different clients that I've worked with now. It's been actually several years. So they're outdated in the sense of that CME tends to be a area that just, you know, you're constantly updating, right? Because we have new therapies that are coming out, new guidelines, etc. But the core concepts of how to set these deliverables up pretty much remains the same. But yes, so there are examples, and I show these samples to show you how how different clients might choose you, or might ask you to present the information. Again, all of the same key components are there, but the layout just might be slightly different, or the formatting might be slightly different. So one of the things that we also talk about within the course is there's a checklist that has a series of questions. And so these are questions that you can ask your potential clients. One of the things that I always would suggest is that you ask a new client for an example from them. So if they don't already have some sort of template prepared, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but at the very least, you can ask them for an example of a successful needs assessment or something that they were happy with. And you use that to form the needs assessment that you would write.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions. How long have you been teaching this course?
So we launched this, in 2018?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2018, I've been writing needs assessments for about 5 years-ish now. It's kind of one of the first types of documents that I started writing as a freelance medical writer. And it's funny because looking back on it, I really didn't know what I was doing. And it was very difficult for me initially. But once I worked out the kinks in the process, I started to become pretty efficient in writing them. And so, yeah, I view them as really one source of steady and ongoing income that can actually lead to a lot of different other types of work with the same clients. And so we talk about that in one of the lessons within the course.
Have you been able to track sort of with your your students, how successful they've been in getting jobs after taking the course?
So we have now a steady trickle of people writing back to us saying that they got needs assessment work, which then led to more needs assessment work, and now it's starting to lead to actual program work. So, you know, the needs assessment gets funded, and then they're moving into the programmatic side. My favorite story about one of our students is this one person who had severe social anxiety, and it was just the idea of reaching out and potentially talking to clients was just horrific to her. And even she got needs assessment work. So she actually did it. And so I figured, you know, if she can do it, anybody, I mean, she's a good writer. That's not the issue. The issue is more about, you know, reaching out and being able to connect to clients, etc. And even she did it. So I was like, you know what, this works. You know, the people who do the work, so here's the issue, right? So like any course, it depends on whether people are going to take action, et cetera, and do the work and create the sample. But of the people who have done the work, I would say 70% have gotten work. More? Jen?
Yeah, that's probably a fair statement. You know, I think similar to many things in life, if you put the work in, you will get results. You know, it is what you make of it. You know, some people, they've taken the course, but for whatever reason, the timing wasn't right, or maybe they were busy with other types of clients. Actually, someone just reached out to me very recently. I think she actually had taken it the very first time that we offered it, and she's now just kind of circling back and wanting to get into the CME space. And so we chatted about that. So, you know, there's a lot of different factors that come into play. If you're on our email list for Write and Prosper, you've probably heard me say many, many times over that CME just, for me, in my experience, and talking with other writers, it's just been such a reliable source of income. I mean, for years now, and even I've seen, you know, through this current time, you know, the country, we're in a recession. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. You know, I had a slow month in April. It was a little bit slow, and now it's like stuff is exploding again. So not only there are definitely a lot of COVID related programs and needs assessments, I know, that were written in a frenetic pace, because everybody's trying to work to get educational programs out there on COVID-19. But that also leaves, I keep telling people, even if, say, you're not familiar enough with COVID-19 to write about it, which I'm sure most of us could get up to speed really quickly. But regardless, you know, that leaves an opportunity for other writers to step in, because you have to think there are going to be a certain number of writers who, say, are going to be pulled towards the COVID-19 just because of the urgency of that topic. And that, of course, again, it leaves space for other people to come in and fill in the gaps for clients if they need support for other projects. So, you know, and I told the story before as well, where I just connected with a new client, and they submit over 700 needs assessments a year, which honestly is just, I mean, it's a larger company. I've never worked with a client that I knew of that submitted that number before. I mean, that is a lot. That's a lot. So they have a constant need. And that's just one, that's literally one client. And there are hundreds of CME clients out there. So, you know, that, I think that just kind of speaks to, you know, the need, the necessity for this type of work. If you want it, the work is out there for sure.
I think one other thing that I would point out is that, you know, the real question about whether or not this course helps people land work is not really about the substance of the course. we've not had any student come back and say they hated the needs assessment that I wrote. I mean, every single one of them, when they come back to us, they say, oh my God, I mean, the client absolutely loved this. This was just, they're happy with it and they want to give me more work. The issue really is about whether or not you're willing, not you specifically, but whether, one is willing to, face rejection, proactively reach out to potential clients, follow up. And that's really hard emotionally for a lot of people. But if they do all that work, then they do see actual work coming their way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, I think some of this speaks to just, again, the universal kind of underlying concepts that we present in talking about client outreach. I mean, if you haven't already been freelancing, that might be new to you. And we've kind of discovered this through working with other folks in our coaching group, where sometimes that can be a hurdle in and of itself, is this concept of reaching out to potential clients and asking if you can support them and their team, and asking if they have projects that you can write for them. So, so for some people that is a hurdle. It's not even so much, again, in writing ability and the ability to go through the research process and putting all of that together. For some, it is that client outreach that tends to be challenging. But, again, if you're doing the freelance thing, if this is what you want to do, it's one of the things that you have to do. It just is one of those things you have to work through. Like the writing itself, it gets easier over time. So for instance, we just wrapped up another coaching group, and this exact scenario popped up. One of the coaching students, she was doing her client outreach, and she was just trying to navigate that process and feeling really unsure about herself, and sending the potential client samples. And then it worked out. I mean, we haven't had the final word, but they've connected, that he's happy with her samples. They're initiating that whole conversation about ongoing work. So, and she said, what can I do? What is there some magic formula? And, there's really not. We do our best to try to provide the tools and the materials that you would need and to help you feel prepared. But again, it's, one of those things you just have to walk through the process. Maybe you make a few mistakes along the way. I certainly have. Maria, I'm sure, has had, we all do it. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Again, you have to walk through the process to feel more comfortable and to feel more confident. So the more that you do it, the more confident you will feel over time.
I mean, what we try to do is we try to tell you all about our mistakes so you can go ahead and make new ones, as opposed to just keep repeating the stuff that others have done. But there's no, there is no silver bullet. Like it will be work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it is work for sure. It's funny because I think, so the needs assessments, they're definitely plentiful in terms of the amount of the availability and the amount of work that's out there, but that doesn't always equate to just, being easy, or, that it's sort of like a little bit fluffy. We are generally talking about concepts, again, clinical guidelines, clinical data, typically phase 2, phase 3 data, getting comfortable with, getting in PubMed, looking at those types of research papers. So, it really, anyone can do it. I know the question has come up, do you need a specific type of degree or a specific type of background? I would say not at all. We've had all types of people come through the course. People with degrees, you know, PhD, MD, OD, MPH, RN, MS, MPH. Am I missing any?
A pharmacist.
PharmD.
Yeah.
We have PharmD.
And we've had everything from bachelor degrees and up, so it's not.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think that's actually pretty consistent, just in my experience of working with a number of different clients. You know, I see people, again, with all different types of backgrounds. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it is what you make of it. If you feel comfortable, you feel confident, your writing skills are solid, you can put together solid samples to share with clients. You understand the outreach process, how to do it, who to reach out to, you know, all of those things can work to your advantage in getting work in the CME space.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
Mary's raising her hand.
Oh, hold on. Just want to make sure that we've answered all of Twyla's.
Oh, yes.
I think so. So it sounds like most of the people that are taking this course are freelance in the freelance area.
Actually, we have had two people that were not freelancers. One of them was actually responsible for the needs assessment program in her medical education company, and she came through and went, wow, that is a completely different way of thinking about needs assessments, and I think, you know, our rate is going to be a lot higher than the 20% we're getting now.
Yeah.
So we had that. We had one medical education company come to us and ask us to do a workshop for them on this topic, and they were just, you know, and I hate to toot my own horn, our horn, but they were kind of blown away. They didn't even realize the sort of the little tweaks that can I mean, they're literally like, sometimes there are little hinges that swing big doors, because sometimes it's not even about what you write, but the order in which you write it that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I mean, if I can just expand on that. So the first person that Maria mentioned, I think she actually was recently promoted, or maybe this was last year, but regardless, she's something like clinical programs director, something to that effect. But yeah, I mean, this company was looking to increase their funding rates, and you know, there's just not that many programs, if any, that specifically other than this one, that specifically address how to write needs assessments. And it's such a key, I mean, this is like the key thing that brings funding in for companies that produce CME programs. And it is a competitive space, maybe hence the low funding rates that some companies experience. But you know, again, there are things that we talk about within the course and how to, you know, how to tweak and how to just present things in a very logical, cohesive way that's persuasive. You know, it's very straightforward. And again, so when we presented this workshop, was that last fall? Last fall, to this company, this company was struggling. I mean, you could get the sense of that, you know, they were really, I think they felt like, honestly, they were kind of missing something and they couldn't quite put their finger on it. And so, you know, we presented our workshop. It was many of the same concepts that we have in the course. We gave them some direct feedback on some of their needs assessments, and you know, the company was just so pleased with it. And quite honestly, I think they've had a lot of success in implementing the strategies that we've you know, that we used with them. So yeah, I mean, and it's something that Maria and I were actually pursuing kind of separately, but also in parallel with this, is presenting this information to other CME companies because I think there is a need. And, you know, I haven't come across a lot of companies that actually present the information the way that I think, I don't want to say the way that I think is best. I just think it's the most effective. And I think it leads to, you know, really, right. I think it leads to very fundable needs assessments. And that's kind of, I mean, that's the name of the game, right? So, you know, in thinking about it in that way, you know, for companies, if they are producing hundreds and hundreds of needs assessments and say only 10% or 20% are getting funded, that's a huge cost for them, right? That they have to eat as a company. So, you know, when you bring someone in or you bring certain techniques in that help them increase that funding rate, that obviously, you know, gives them a lot of savings, but then that's also bringing in a lot of revenue dollars to their business as well.
And after we complete the course, is there some sort of a certificate, or how do we show potential clients that we have, you know, successfully taken this course?
Yeah, we have offered a certificate in the past. That is contingent on doing all of the homework associated with the course and also actually producing a written sample that we've reviewed. So, you know, just be mindful of that as well. You know, it's not just sort of a fluffy, oh, you know, show me that you've watched all the videos and, you know, we'll hand you the certificate. I mean, you do need to complete all of the work. And yeah, I mean, we, you know, ultimately we just want to help you be more successful, right? So if this is an aspect of your business that you are trying to build up, you know, we just want to be able to help you to do that. I mean, it's a money maker. So needs assessments, I mean, you get paid to write them, and often it will lead to other bigger and better paying projects as well. I've experienced that. I know I can think of at least, you know, one of our students, she's had great success with it. And it's also about building long-term relationships with clients. That's sort of my, you know, that's my general strategy in freelancing and, you know, in very broad terms, is that I typically work with the same clients for years. I find that it's much easier that way. And I say that because, you know, I'm not having to spend unpaid time of mine marketing, searching for new clients, sending new samples, etc. So I've been very fortunate, you know, I've tried to build long-standing relationships. And then when they have suitable projects, they reach out to me. So I'm not spending that time constantly searching around for people to work with. And I feel like that's the ideal scenario for many, many freelancers in this space, is that you want to start to build relationships with clients so that they have trust in you, they understand your abilities, and then they begin to present work to you, you know, when projects come up.
And then of course, you know, if you can build retainer relationships, that really helps stabilize your income as a freelancer. So that's been my experience. I have a couple of really big retainer clients. I'm not in the medical writing space, but you know, I'm in the law firm writing space. But they, yeah, I mean, those retainer relationships are really solid. You know that that's your baseline. That's what you're going to make this month, every month. And then on top of that, if new work comes in or if they have extra work that they need done, et cetera, that's just like, you know, icing on the cake.
Yeah, I mean, and it's totally doable. I have a client, they're actually trying to work with me to basically to get on a retainer because my schedule tends to fill up really quickly. And they just asked me to write some needs assessments. I couldn't commit to it because I just have other things, other projects already lined up. But that really is kind of the ideal scenario, right? So you build relationship with a client, you say, okay, I can write one needs assessment for you a month or 2 a month or whatever you feel comfortable in doing. Now, would these skills, say, be applicable to, say, a full-time corporate job? Definitely. I mean, I've seen those kind of job postings out there where they need people to do this on a regular basis. They need people to write needs assessments constantly. So, if that is your game plan, I absolutely understand. And I think that this course would still absolutely be helpful to you in that scenario as well.
I just actually wanted to bring up well, I'm in a certificate program at University of Chicago, which I really love. And that was just a lifesaver for me. It was such a wonderful, experience just to meet fellow medical writers and excellent professors. But the reason that I called Marie and Jen, kind of the nice thing about once you get involved with either AMWA or even a certificate program, is they sort of make the connections for you to find people like Marie and Jen. But what I really realized was I'm about to finish my certificate program, is my certificate program and many others really don't have any coursework in this area. And that was really big for me, because there's very little opportunity when you're trying to train yourself as a medical writer. So I'm just going to tell you guys, I'm a physician. I've been practicing physician for 28 years. I taught at a medical school. I have experience, but I don't have experience in this. And what I realized was there's very little opportunity to have two professionals look at your work and essentially grade it before you show it to anyone. And that's a big deal, because all of us, I'll tell you, I can't even believe how incredibly talented and diverse this group of medical writers are throughout all my experiences. But none of us have ever had the experience of submitting something to a CME company or a medical education company and basically having it be work ready. And so a lot of us have ideas of how we would do that, but there really is a very appropriate way to do it. And none of my coursework addressed that. And so while I had, wonderful experiences in certain things, substantive editing, etc., substantive editing, research ethics, writing a research paper, which I'm not planning on doing. I mean, I'm a 59-year-old practicing physician. I think it's a little late for me to get in the game to start writing research publications. I think that's work for younger folks than me. But I do know that continuing medical education makes a lot of sense for me, and patient education. And so very sincerely, when I first spoke to Marie and Jen, and they said, Mary, at the end of this, you'll have something to show the client. And I said, bingo, that's what I need, because I don't have a lot of writing samples. I have modest amounts of writing samples, but they're like commentary, opinion, fun things, but not this. And frankly, CME companies they don't even want me to be opinionated. So I don't think they want to see my op-ed. And so I really said, that is exactly what I need. I need something I'm going to be able to show a client that I can write, and I can write in this space. So I realize, even as I speak, that I sound like I'm, so enthusiastic about this program, but I've actually been through 3 modules of it. So I actually think I have some credibility here. And here's what I would share is the modules are incredibly dense. And having been in my certificate program, I decided that my certificate program, which I love, I'm on the professional advisory board for that university. That's how much I like that program. Okay, so I love it. But it's sort of like a sampling of what you can do in medical editing and writing. And very frankly, I need to work, okay? So this is not an intellectual pursuit. I'm a very, I'm very excited about reading medical writing, etc., but this is not an intellectual pursuit. I need to have work. And so as much as I have loved that, it's almost just pointed me in the good directions of meeting the right people in medical editing and writing. One of my professors is really the person that basically got me in the direction of Maria and Jen. And so I just want to share that with you all, because if I can save you 3 years of, well, maybe 2 years, November 2018 is when I started this process of sort of muddling about, because I did various things and almost everything didn't reach me to my work goal. And I just needed to find something that was going to generate some work, simple work. It doesn't have to be, I'm a primary care physician. I've never, been, the guy with the Mercedes parked out in front of his car, in front of his practice. Okay. I've been driving a 15-year-old Subaru for a long time. And so
You have to in Buffalo, right? You need something that can get you through the snow.
exactly. So, so I needed something that could generate work. And so now that I've done 3 modules, and the 4th module really looks exciting because it's really about client contact and reaching out. But now that I've done these 3, I'll be honest with you, there's so much in it that I've actually done the modules on self-training. I've done them a couple times because there's so much in each module. I actually sometimes can't believe, and I know I sound like I'm working for Marie and Jen, I'm really just, I just respect them. And they've been great to me during, like a time when I could not get the time to do the work. They were incredibly patient and helpful and really colleagues and I would dare to say friends. So the bottom line is that I think that what I've learned is that there's so much to learn in this business. And I can tell you from my experience in a program I love, none of this was taught. And very frankly, there was one course that was just offered at my program. Well, it's very expensive. It's very expensive. It's a lot per credit. It's basically, I'm very open with all medical writers because I feel like we're all in this together. And so I'm just going to be open. It's $1,500 a crack. And so I looked at the course and I said, I almost would like to tell Marie and Jen to offer this course because I figured, it would probably be outstanding. Well, I hadn't taken module 3 yet. Turns out module 3 is that course, okay, which was it's called PubMed and Beyond. And again, I love my program. I love it. I will always support them. They are fantastic. But I need work, and I needed to generate something that was going to get me work. So I'm just going to share with you, that was my experience. And I know I probably spoke too much. So anyway, and anybody can write me anytime, maryberrymd@gmail.com. I really reach out to a lot of medical writers because I think we're all in this together. A lot of us are very different people. My classes have been amazing, PhDs, English majors, kids who work in bookstores who are terrific. There's a lot of really talented people out there that can do this. And I've learned so much from all of them, but I do want to share anything I can with anyone. So that's it. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Mary. We always appreciate your candid responses. And, I think what you're saying is so valid. At the end of the day, right, we're not doing this for fun, right? We're not doing this to sort of maybe fulfill any passions. Maybe you are, right? Maybe some of us always, to be really fair. So my background is in science. I have a PhD. From the time I was young, I actually always thought I wanted to be a writer. So I feel like I truly have come full circle in life. But anyways, yeah, we want to get paid, right? That's at the end of the day, we're not here to teach you something that is just theory. It's there is theory embedded there, but again, that's why we include an entire module on client outreach and marketing, right? Because it means nothing if you've learned how to do the skill and you don't actually know how to go out there, reach out to clients, understand who to reach out to, what to say to them. How do you sort of put this whole thing together, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to help you earn money. And I think actually one of the very first lessons, I kind of touch on this because, I want you to think of this, the needs assessments, in and of themselves, you get paid to do that, right? So they absolutely have value. They will bring in paying work. But in my experience, the sort of greater value is in thinking about, okay, how can I help to build relationships with clients so that I get bigger projects that pay more money and bring in more income? And I think that is a very key component of this. When I'm speaking with new clients, it is definitely something that I highlight, that I have experience both in the grant development side of things, again, which is the needs assessment, but then I also have experience in the program development side of things, which again, kind of tend to be the bigger and the better paying projects. But a lot of times what I've seen is that if you kind of get your foot in the door, so to speak, with the needs assessment part of it, you demonstrate your skills, you show that you're reliable, that you can turn things in by the deadline, etc., that they will likely extend an opportunity to you to work on some of those other types of projects. So again, yeah, we are absolutely here to help facilitate not only understanding the actual process of writing needs assessment, but how to earn money, how to earn income with that skill.
And, just for Lisa and Margaret and is it Twila or Twyla?
It's Twyla.
Twyla. Twyla, did I meet you at the Delaware AMWA?
I think so. You look very familiar to me.
You're a really nice person. We were at the
you have a really great memory, because that was over a year ago.
No, I remember you because I thought you were super cool, because I thought we're all coming at this from different experiences, and we have a lot to add. I truly love the group. It's just a wonderful group. I'm telling you, I've been in medicine a long time, and medicine is competitive and not so kind. And this is a great group of people. Wow, decent, good, ethical. This when I went into medicine, the kind of values I thought I was going to find are in medical writing. Anyway, the short of it is what I wanted to say is Jen also and Maria do this thing where they give you cheat sheets on how to do certain actions. And one of them, which I've saved, I can tell you, I got it all posted up here. I've got questions to ask a client right here. That's one of their cheat sheets. One of their other cheat sheets, which was fabulous and actually helped me with one of my homeworks at U of Chicago, was how to write a newspaper article. That is fabulous. And truthfully, what I do is I literally read every word of what Jen and Maria give as examples. And sometimes it's a little humbling, and I have to be honest with you, sometimes it's intimidating because it's so good. And it's I really sit there and think, man, I got to get my game up because this is really good science. But those cheat sheets are so helpful. And I have them all over my bookcase here, how questions to ask a client, how to write a newspaper article. So if somebody asks me, I will not be caught out, because yeah, I'm a good writer, but I haven't done these specific things. I've written lectures for students, and that's different, that's just different. So anyway, that's my comments. I in no way, I got to be honest with you, I hesitated to join the call because I'm already a student, and I felt like, gee, I don't want people to think that I'm just being poly-positive. I'm really not. First of all, I find that communicating with medical writers helps your week go better. And it's because sometimes when you're out there, when you're doing freelance or you're working alone, or in my case, I'm just starting. When you talk to other medical writers, you walk away saying, okay, and very honestly, I communicate with other people from these courses. I kept touch with Tara and Emma, and and truthfully, they're ahead of me, but they've kind of stimulated me because I've seen that that they're getting somewhere. And so frankly, just to talk to a medical writer, even just once a week, somebody say, yeah, I know what you mean, going into that can really be helpful. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. I mean, I think those are all such great points, because this type of work can be very isolating, even pre-COVID-19 era, right? It just is. And so, one of the things that we do try to encourage within the group, we'll have email strings, we have communication with each other, you can certainly reach out to each other. Maria, did we set up that alumni group? Have we done that?
We just haven't invited anybody in yet.
So it's in the works. Okay.
So we have a LinkedIn alumni group that we want to set up. I mean, we have set up, and we just haven't invited anybody in yet. But
too many balls in the air.
Yeah, but the whole idea is that now the group is slowly growing, and everybody's in slightly different stages of their careers and doing slightly different things. So it's a really nice way to, you know, share information, encouragement. You know, if it's work that comes your way that you don't do and somebody else is doing, then you can send it to people. Like
yeah, exactly. And you know, I've always hesitated because you know, my business is not currently set up that way in terms of for example, like a subcontracting scenario where I don't want to guarantee that I'm able to pass on any work, but there have been times in the past where if I'm not able to take on certain projects, and I know that you've gone through the course, that you've done the work, I can see that your writing is solid, all of those things that we kind of talked about earlier. There are times when I sort of just pay it forward and I say, hey, I can think of a recent example. Actually, the same person that I talked about earlier, her background is in infectious diseases, and it might have actually even been a recruiter, but long story short, someone reached out to me and they said, oh, do you have a background experience in this? And I don't personally. And then I remembered that she did, so I just sent it along to her. I mean, that's what we do. I feel like this happens a lot in the medical writing community for one reason or another. I've had to pass things on, various family circumstances. I mean, life happens at times, and I've certainly needed to reach out to other writers who are reliable that I know could make that client happy, etc. So, for that reason, if nothing else, I feel like it is important to, build these networks of people, if for nothing else, to kind of just have that social interaction. And what do we call it? We're not socially distancing these days. Physical distancing? I don't know. I keep hearing that come up on the news because, I think now everyone's sort of feeling what it's like to have social isolation at times. And, we all know things tend to be better when you actually do have social interaction. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely, a perk to the group as well, building relationships with each other. And that's always great. And we try to have fun, as you've probably seen, the information, obviously it's key. But we talk about, I think maybe something else just to address is that, for instance, the Q&As, they are primarily focused on the course materials, but of course other things related to freelancing just kind of get intertwined in the conversation naturally. So a lot of times we do end up speaking about lots of different issues that can pop up along the way. So I feel like in a lot of ways it's a pretty well-rounded experience for many people.
Anybody else have Lisa? Is it Lisa or?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Lisa. Do you have any questions?
No, not right now. Actually, I was going to ask Mary if she'd repeat her email. She went too fast for me.
Lisa, it's marymcgorymd@gmail.
Okay.
Mary, do you want to put it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll do it right now. Sure. Yeah, what's funny is in my Chicago course, all the people in my class are like, they're like Jen and Maria. They're brainiacs. They're like PhDs with 8 postdocs, right? And so mine is the only one that says Mary McGorry, MD. And I wasn't on purpose. Like, how Google auto-populates? So I look like this big arrogant jerk with all these people who are like, professors and everything else. So I was gonna next time, but the class ended, I was gonna put Mary McGorry, cherry dessert champion of Monroe County. I just look like a total dork. Let me write it for you. It's like, and literally, because I'm looking and I'm seeing, there's one girl, she's a medical writer from Spain. She's working with COVID. She's a doctor. And I'm like, oh, ridiculous. Anyway.
Not at all, Mary. You got to take what you can get from Gmail.
But it was really so funny because literally as these people are talking, at times it's literally another language. They're like, well, the cohort and the ICMJE and, you know, and everybody is so nice. They'll explain everything, you know, but for me, you know, that kind of, you know, the 5 different versions of medical writing for research publications, that's relatively new for me. Okay. And so here I am with my, with my fancy name. There I am on chat, guys. And I'm usually, I'll tell you, since I started the medical writing, I'm a genius. Most doctors are horrible at email because, you know, we're just dismissive of it. And now I'm perfect at it. So I won't miss it if you write me, Lisa. Okay. So, and I'd be glad, I'll tell you, if I could help anybody, I would, because Jen and Maria have really, in my opinion, for me, turned the corner from aspirational to really becoming being able to get some work. And because, you know, you can be as bright as can be, but if you don't know who to call and who to write or how to do it, you're out of luck. And, you know, I'm actually, as much as I'm sort of being modest, I'm a very experienced physician, and I know that there are ways that I can get into pharmaceuticals by doing things that make my skin crawl. So not going to do that. Okay. You know, I could get a job like this if I did it a different way, by going into medical liaison or something like that. I don't want to do that. This is what morally agrees with me. This job morally agrees with me. This is you are doing a service here. You're not, you know, you're not working for, you're not writing in a way that's, you're supposed to be unbiased. It's meaningful, you know, ethical work, and I feel comfortable with it. So that's.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Mary. It is, you know, it's true. And it is one of the things that, again, we talk about within the course, is how to be what's known as fair and balanced, which in CME work is extremely, extremely important. We never want to show bias towards certain products, even towards the supporter of the program, even towards their product. So yeah, so for many, I mean, I think there are many, many reasons for people to get into this aspect of medical writing. I'm sure many of you know there actually are many, many different branches that you can follow, but yeah, for, you know, for a lot of reasons, you know, I've seen CME tends to agree with people. You know, deadlines are usually pretty reasonable. In my experience, the clients are fantastic to work with. So, you know, it just, you know, I've certainly found it to be, you know, a great area to focus on. I do also do work in other areas as well. So, I mean, certainly don't feel like it's limiting. You know, I do work in ad board, advisory board, meeting coverage. I still do sales training materials for other types of clients. So, you know, we're just hoping this is sort of like one additional thing that you can put into your arsenal as a writer, you know, one additional skill set for you to have and to develop.
Right. Any more questions?
Nope.
Nope.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank
Can't wait to get
you.
started. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Yes.
everyone,
So
for comments and info.
yeah, definitely. So if you're already signed up, you know, we'll be chatting more next week, and you should have all access to the materials starting on Monday.
Can I just ask, why do you wait so everybody starts at the same time, just so we're all keeping pace? Or
Yeah, generally. And I actually, to be really honest, I wanted to go in and sort of record just another introductory video, just kind of walk you through the platform. But yeah, initially when we had started everything at the same time, it was because we were we called it releasing. We were releasing one module a week, and it was to kind of keep everyone at the same pace. But yeah, once a Monday, everything will be available to you. And so then you can move as quickly or as slowly as you'd like.
great. Thank you.
That's great. Looking forward to it.
Okay, excellent. All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.